Hello, wonderful people. Today we are talking about a topic that can be a little challenging. And that topic is the masks that we each put on, the masks that you put on in your daily life. And just hearing that sentence, I'm guessing, generates one of three responses in you. One is, what's a mask? What the heck is he talking about? Is this nonsense? Two is, I don't wear masks. You've got the wrong guy, the wrong gal, the wrong person. I don't wear masks. I totally get that other people do, but I don't. Or third is, oh no, he knows. He knows my secret. And it's really no secret at all. We all wear masks. Our society, our culture is built to make us wear masks. What do I mean when I say masks? All I'm talking about when I say the word mask is a way of being around other people that isn't really you. It doesn't reflect who you authentically are. It doesn't reflect what you believe, what you see, what you value. And these are really common. We think about that work meeting where I nod my head to the boss and I say, oh, great idea. Even though I don't think it's a great idea, right? We've all been there. Or when I nod my head at somebody who's my direct report and I say, oh, yeah, that sounds good. We'll move on that. And then I never create movement on it. We see it at home. We see it with our friends. We become different people for different groups that we interact with. With my boss, I'm one person, but with my coworkers, I'm another. With my spouse, I'm one person. With my kids, I'm another. When I'm with my parents over Thanksgiving dinner, I have to be a certain person to make everything okay. When I'm with strangers, this is who I am, which is different than who I am in other times of my life, with other people. These are all masks. They're all pieces of us that we put on, like we're putting on a little bit of a show. This person, we think to ourselves, needs me to be this. So I'll just put that mask on. Oh, this friend always has woes to share, and they need a shoulder to cry on. So I'm just going to put on my shoulder to cry on mask. At work, I'm going to put on my yes man mask. I'm going to tell everybody yes, because it's the easiest thing to do. It's what they need to hear, so that I can feel confident in my position at work. And this is really based on kind of a shallow level of confidence. When I'm not confident in who I am, when I'm only confident in the rules that I follow, like we talked about in another video, I have to put on the mask that allows me to follow those rules. If the way to get ahead at work is to say yes, and I care about getting ahead at work, then I say yes. I put on that mask, even if it goes against what I really believe. And there's a different way. What would it be like if there was no masks? If you got to be your authentic self with everybody, with your boss, with your spouse, with your kids, with your friends, with your strangers that you're sitting in line with at the coffee shop? What would happen? Often there's a voice inside our head that says the world would fall apart. Everybody would hate me. They would laugh me out of this county. Whatever. Great. That voice is why we put our masks on. We've been taught that they're necessary for us to survive. And it's such a limiting experience. And it takes so much energy, right? When I have to put on a different mask for this friend group versus that friend group, I never get to bring those friend groups together because I wouldn't know who to be with both of them around. Right? I don't want to bring my spouse to my work party because I don't want to have to be who she thinks I am and try and also be who my boss thinks I am. Those two might not align. And then somebody's going to get angry. Somebody's going to realize that I've been lying about who I am. And it's not that I'm lying, it's just that I've kept myself safe by only showing certain facets to certain people. There's a different choice. Take the masks off. Be one person. Stop having to juggle all of the stories of who you are. Stop having to remember which facet belongs where. Really interesting things happen. Building relationships is way easier. You're less afraid of the work involved when you realize that you don't have to do the work anymore. You don't have to always put on your "this is my shoulder to cry on" mask when you interact with your buddy John, who's always got problems. I choose to be me, and I say, you know what, John, today, I can't listen to that story. What are you doing to change it? Let's talk about the future. That's my authentic self. Of course, I'm a coach. I do a lot of those kinds of conversations. And who you are, you might not even know yet. If you've spent a good chunk of your life wearing the masks, you might not know who you are underneath. They get stuck and they become hard to take off. So how do we do it? How do we start taking the masks off? First, we recognize that they're there. We just go ahead and admit that in certain circumstances, I choose to be somebody different. You choose to be somebody different in different parts of your life. Just admitting that is the first step. And then we identify, what masks do we wear? What masks do you wear? Write it down. That's an invitation. Today, right now, as I talk, write down or think about, what masks do you wear in different parts of your life? The idea of taking that mask off entirely today, that's a non-starter. I'm not asking you to do that. That would be too much. That might be too scary. And that keeps us from doing it. So what I invite you to do instead is, after you identify what those masks are, just start to notice that they're there. Notice when you put on that mask. Oh, look, here comes John. I'm putting on my shoulder to cry on mask. Oh, here comes my boss. I'm going to put on my yes man mask. Oh, here comes my spouse. I'm going to put on, I'm working on lots of projects. I don't have time to talk mask. Oh, here come my kids. Time to be the did you do your homework mask. Just notice that you're putting them on to start. And then eventually, start taking them off in a really safe way. This is generally either with the people you know best, your best friend. You might be able to take off your mask of, we only talk about sports and weather, and say, you know what, I'm really struggling at work, really struggling in my marriage. You know what, sometimes I don't know what to do with my kids. See what happens. So you can either do it on that spectrum, or for some of us, it feels way safer to start to take our masks off, to peek out from behind them with total strangers. People whose opinions we don't care about, you don't care about. When you're in line at Starbucks, or whatever your coffee chain is. When you're in line at a restaurant. When you're at the water cooler at work with people you don't know. When you're at a party with strangers. Take the mask off for a second. And then just pay attention to what happens. Whether it's your best friend or a total stranger, pay attention to what happens. What's the impact? What's the outcome? And we're not really talking about what their reaction is. Sure, if they run away screaming that you're a maniac, that's feedback. But I don't really care about what they think. What I care about, and what you need to care about, is your experience of taking off the mask. How do you feel when you peek out from behind it with this person? What's that experience like? And then you put it back on. And you kind of figure out what just happened. And you reflect. And then you figure out where you can take it off again, a little bit more. That same friend, maybe you take it off a little further. And eventually with that friend, in that stranger scenario, you don't feel like you have to wear the mask anymore. And that gives you permission to start taking off the mask elsewhere in your life. And this is, us coaches call this integration. Taking all these different facets of who I propose to be and bringing them down into one person. One person with no mask on. And this gives us deep confidence. Confidence in who we are and that we are good. And that's what you want. You want that level of confidence. You don't always want to be worrying about upsetting the apple cart. You want to be able to upset it. You want to know that you can take your mask off, and if somebody doesn't like it, that's great. Fantastic. What a great opportunity for engagement. What a great conversation you could have about what their experience is when you're not worried about being good enough, when you don't have to put your mask on to stay safe. So that's all I've got for today. And I hope that you take this opportunity to take your mask off. At the very least, identify what your masks are. And just notice every time you put them on. And let me know how it goes. I'd be really interested to hear. And until next time, stay awesome.